Hi guys. Today's a really sunny day, and yesterday I went out. I was in the car, I was writing some things down, and I think I strained my eyes, and because of the, how do you call it, the reflection of the sun on the cars, I was afraid that I was going to get the scintillating scotoma, the how do you call it, the migraine with aura. You know, that crack in your vision that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it didn't happen, but I put my glasses on, darker glasses, sorry, the blue blocking glasses, and it was a bit better. I was really tired though yesterday. I didn't sleep well, so I was exhausted. Well, anyway, so that's why I've got these on today. um, yeah, just replying to a comment that I got, what was it, the other day. I think one of my subscribers, I think he or she, I think it's a he, said something about, you know, the comment that I had earlier on and it being a troll comment. And I said it was a troll comment because, you know, what the lady said is, you know, it's a bit harsh. You know, when is it like an opinion? When is a comment an opinion or a troll comment? It's when it's more of an insult, you know. So the lady said in block capitals. Oh, by the way, she took away her comment. I haven't deleted her or cancelled her or anything. I don't I don't do it unless it's, you know, persistent. And in fact, I pinned it and I left it there so that, you know, I can see it and I can come back to it, and just to see if she replied, because I asked her, "Oh, where is the fakery? You know, if you just let me know, then I can understand." But obviously, like, that's what trolls do. They leave a comment. There are stalker trolls that continuously bombard you and then, you know, go past YouTube and then email you or stalk you. I've had a few of them. They're not nice. And you know, you don't know who these people are. They might be real nutters. And some claim they're this, they're that, you know, soldiers, or I've just been in jail, you know, try and scare you. Um, you know, I'm a chicken, so I don't want to fight anyone or argue with anyone at all. Um, so, you know, I just let them be tough, and I let them, you know, okay, all right, you just come out of prison. Oh, okay, you're a killer. Oh, okay, all right, sorry about that. You know, I just try, you know, but yeah. Um, I think, you know, there's a saying that it's the dog that uh, the dog that doesn't bark that should be you should worry about. Um, because I might not, um, you know, I might not react, and but you know, if someone comes to my house, for example, and tries to hurt my family, I will, I will react. And yeah, I had this problem when I was a kid. I was bullied at school, you know, because people see your shyness and your, like, kindness and, you know, as a weakness. Especially kids, they see that as a weakness and they'll bully you. And we haven't really changed. We haven't changed since we were kids. You know, we still have the same basic character. So if you were inclined to bullying, you're still a bully inside. You still carry that nature with you. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, so I'm not aggressive or combative. I try not to be, but sometimes, you know, you have a lot of anxiety. You know, things going on in your life, and things tend to make you react. You know, the what's that called? Trigger. trigger you. Yeah, so I think the person, the subscriber was saying something like that he's got a thick skin, it wouldn't really affect him. So, and it's true, isn't it? When you're, say, have this thick skin, or when you're more relaxed, you don't really mind, you don't care about these things. So I think he said he's been watching me or following me for a year, and he said he's got some ideas, maybe some ideas on how to solve my problem, or be more calmer, or maybe some negative words he's going to say to me. I don't know. You just don't know. As I said, the internet is anonymous. You get some people that, and I know the patterns. The people who have been with you for a long time, I know who they are. There's Stephen Cully, Tanya, there's Dean, there's Louise. They're good people. Every once in a while they might get pissed off as well, but they'll come back. Because I've said things that will upset most people, so I've spread my how do you say, vitriol, evenly and widely. So the people who are left over must be real fans, because I should have pissed off everyone, really. Men, women, blacks, whites, Jew, Muslim. Who haven't I not pissed off? Gay, trans, straight, English, Italian, old, young. And sometimes you get these comments, really intelligent people. They probably asked ChatGPT or some kind of AI to write the text for them. They're like scholars, they're like, and you'll get like 2 or 3 of these comments, and you think they're benign, and then bang, you'll get the troll. It will come. There's a point when they're a troll. They'll hit you with like, you're pathetic or something like that, or you don't know what you're talking about. They'll come. Eventually, they'll come with that negative strike, something really negative about you. And for me, it's not out of the blue. I know it's coming. So I don't trust anyone, especially online. If the person who is online shows me their picture and I meet them, even then you can't trust them. But I would trust them much more than some anonymous person who has an avatar, like a flower, or I don't know, like has a flower of a person, a woman. It could be a man. Could be like a 13-year-old, and he's got an avatar of a lady. You don't know. You just don't know who you're talking to. Oh, right. So going back to this comment about being thick-skinned, and yeah, I think if I was thick-skinned, it would really help me. And thick-skinned kind of means that you can, like insults, you kind of deflect insults like water off a duck's back. But the problem is, we're not all made the same. So, like, I don't know if any of you guys know, but if you have ADHD, you are hypersensitive, really sensitive. And you could be one of those highly sensitive people, which I am. So, like, some guys might think what I'm going to say is pathetic. It's just me. It's not pathetic. It's pathetic for some people, of course. Yeah, but it's just me. It's the way I am. So my wife could be watching a program, or my ex-wife could be watching a program about love and stuff like that, and there's a scene where, like, the 2 lovers and then one is dying, and I've got my hand, she's here, I've got my hand here, and I'm crying. I've got tears in my eyes. I have to walk away, and I have to go to the kitchen, and like I get that lump in my throat. I can't handle things like that, like death, and Like she might have watched the program where you have a long lost father, long lost son, and they meet, and then that meeting like really gives me that lump in my throat, and I want to tear up, so I have to go like this and make out I'm scratching myself. But inside, I've got this sadness wells up inside me, and I feel like crying, not bawling, but I'm holding the tears, and if I'm on my own, I will cry. Okay, so I'm really sensitive. Whereas my wife, she can watch it, no problem. When this thing has happened about about the divorce, I've shouted, I've been really angry, I've been in mental and emotional turmoil because the fact that I'm going to lose my family, I'm going to lose my son, I'm going to lose my daughters, the fact that I have a wife, my house, car, and the link to my father as well, and my my childhood, my past, which is a long story, but I, I feel I'm losing everything, and I was crying, I was emotional, not crying in front of her, but on my own, angry, smashing things, you know. So I'm not thick-skinned, I'm actually thin-skinned. So, some blokes might think, oh, that's pathetic, Gerald. What kind of a man are you? Well, some women might say that. I am this kind of man, a man that is really sensitive, a man that I don't cry in front of people. I don't. No, I don't. But I cry in front of my dogs, and I cry on my own. Not all the time, but sometimes. And it doesn't make me weak. People perceive that as weakness, and it can be a weakness if people comment and it's just a slight insult, and you get angry or you feel sad, and it stays inside you, and it makes you nervous, makes you upset. Then yes, it is a kind of weakness because um, it affects your body, it affects your health. Your blood pressure goes up. You have like brain inflammation or whatever, inflammation in the body goes up, oxidative stress, everything. Your body doesn't want to feel like that. So I know in that case it is a weakness because people can also manipulate you. They can trigger you in order to make you lose control. And yes, it kind of is a weakness, but it's something that I have to work around. I have to. So what I'm saying is maybe it's something that I can't change. It's not like I can become thick-skinned all of a sudden. It's like the person who's asking me the question, which is a good question actually. I've asked myself this before. Could if a person who is thick-skinned, could that person change and become thin-skinned suddenly, and everything that someone says to that person, or which is a slight insult, really affect them? You can't, because that's your nature is your nature. Unless you're going through like mental and emotional turmoil, like you've just been divorced, your father's just passed away, you have all your own mental health struggles, you've got the disease, you just lost lots of money, you're bankrupt, and then somebody sends you that comment, you might blow up because you don't have the resources. As I said, the frustration cup is full for me. So in order to bring it down, I have to meditate a little bit, and then maybe take medication, and it goes down to about, not normal, but slightly more anxiety prone than usual, than normal. But I think in the past I did say something like, people who have ADHD, remember I've been taking medication for 33 years for anxiety, stroke, depression. It's the SSRI, Paxil or Seroxat, which affects serotonin, and if you have more serotonin circulating in the pool in your brain, and it's not taken back by the body, then you're calmer. So it affects the neurotransmitter serotonin, which induces this calmness. You know, there are people that say, oh, you know, serotonin it's been proven, it's been debunked that serotonin isn't the problem. Is, you know, isn't the reason why you have depression. You know, it's been debunked. I would tell these people to take an SSRI for 6 months, then take it off, take it away, and see how they feel. Oh, it's an effect of the drug. Yeah, well, the drug increased serotonin. Now, once you take serotonin away, then you will feel terrible, absolutely terrible. Why is that? If serotonin isn't a problem, isn't the issue, why would you feel bad? So people who have, naturally the serotonin is slightly low, or, you know, they feel bad because they don't have enough of this this neurotransmitter circulating around in their brain. And so, yeah, I would tell those people, go onto an SSRI, an antidepressant, for about a year and then come off and then see how you feel. But they won't. You know, it's all like, you know, this study suggests this, another study suggests that. How was this study made? You know, were there conflicts of interest? You know, how good was the study? Well, anyway, yeah, I've been taking the antidepressants for all that time, and you know, for a reason. So, yeah, I've said in the past, you know, why do I have anxiety? Is something wrong with my brain? Everyone has anxiety, sorry, but I mean prone to, or more sensitive to certain things. I'm sensitive to a lot of things, and so it seems like an affliction or a curse or something really bad. But actually, in life, there are no straight lines. There's no black and white. It's actually, I'm not saying it's a superpower, but it has its benefits. So, so what are its benefits then? Oh, I don't know about being thin-skinned, but having the problem I have of being too sensitive has its benefits. So it doesn't have its benefits when I'm watching something like emotionally charged, something, you know, on TV that would make me cry, like somebody dying, or a long lost, you know, seeing your long lost father, which obviously is part of my history, so it affects me. It wouldn't affect my ex-wife. I have to say ex-wife now, it's so difficult to say, but the divorce papers are almost done. I keep getting these emails saying that the progress. So how, like, evolutionary, on a kind of, if you think about it from an evolutionary point of view, how would what I have, wouldn't it be, how do you say, kind of phased out? Would it, not phased out, but why do human beings have human beings evolved and they still have this problem? It could be a disease. Yeah, you just have a disease. But some people say that this sensitivity, and specifically ADHD, this kind of person, in the past, like if you have a tribe and you have this person that's highly, you know, highly sensitive, really sensitive and alert, would alert the tribe, because you cannot be always, you know, switched on. So like a person who like is more thick-skinned and is not always switched on is a normal person who relaxes, calms down. You know, it's just like the zebra. First of all, you know, when trouble comes, the zebra is, or the antelope is, you know, is in that fight and flight mode. And then when the danger goes away, just chills out, relaxes, and eats again. That's what the normal person does. But a person with ADHD is kind of not stuck in that mode, with the wheels spinning in the mud, but almost, you have to actually fight harder. You have to work more at being relaxed. You have to like take time to actually meditate or have a hot bath or avoid certain things to bring that frustration tolerance, the level of frustration down. So that cup, that glass is full, and any stress, it spills over and you blow up. So you have to bring that water down to about half or three quarters. So then you have some leeway, you have some leverage. You have space there to accept a little bit of stress, and you won't blow up. So normal people are probably half or a quarter, but I am, or people who have ADHD maybe are three quarters or just there on the brink. That's the way I explain it. And so maybe there was an evolutionary, how do you say, a positive to this. So people who had ADHD maybe would be able to signal to the tribe, look, there's a danger there, or look, there's something a bit strange over there, something. So it is an evolutionary advantage for the group, not for the person, not for the individual, but for the group. So they would stick maybe that person on the fence or the wall or somewhere, and that person would signal to the tribe if they see anything like untoward, anything strange, because they're hypersensitive, really sensitive. So that's just what I wanted to say. There are good points to being sensitive. Of course, crying is not good, because in order to cry, you have to feel really bad. I don't want to do that. Some men, I don't think so, I was going to say some men probably hardly ever cry, but I think they just hide it. They just hide it well, and they feel it's really bad to cry. Obviously, I'm not bawling in front of my kids and my family in public. Yeah, but when my dad passed away, I didn't give a shit. I was crying. Believe me, I was crying. I didn't care about anything, what anybody thought. That's my dad. When my mum passed away as well, because they're important people in my life. The most important people, actually. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Maybe you can't change, maybe you can make yourself more calmer, but you can't become normal. That's what people don't understand. They talk from their position, from their point of view, which is fine. It's good. But it's impossible, almost impossible. Well, no, it's impossible. It actually is impossible to step into somebody else's shoes. You can have that empathy, as I always say, but you don't really know. You never know. So, like, I can be a doctor and I can tell a woman how she feels when she has her period, but I can never know as a man. Oh, hang on, I better not say that. But anyway, you guys roughly know what I mean. I can't know as a straight male what it's like for a female to have a period. How can I bloody know? I'm not in her shoes. So someone who has ADHD and anxiety and depression or whatever can't really be figured out. What you're trying to do is something that even AI can't do. So if you take just ask ChatGPT or any kind of AI, Gemini or whatever it's Claude or whatever, to ask it anything about the Bible, about some historical figure, and ask it to make a speech that this person would have said, or this person said, boom, it will do it immediately. So ask it to make a speech of Gerald Fiore. It won't know. It can't know, because when I create my videos, I don't know what I'm going to say, because I don't know where my mind is going to. It rambles and it chooses its own path. It doesn't like structure at all. It cannot have structure, any kind of structure. No real structure. And so it can't be copied. Like AI, for example, can't come and say, and create a video like an AI version of me. Because I don't even know, if I don't even know what I'm going to say, the information isn't there for AI to compute and copy. It's not there. So if an AI doesn't get me, it can't get me. It can understand basically what ADHD is, and you know. So if artificial intelligence doesn't understand me, another human can't. Well, no, another human can, I suppose. A person can get close. But how can someone understand me if I can't understand me, my own thoughts, what's going to come in the next 5 minutes? So, and I don't blame anyone for not understanding. Of course, you don't understand because you're not in my shoes. Like, I don't understand what it's like to be, I don't know, an Indian farmer working somewhere in India and speaking his language, his culture, and having his own problems. I don't know. I can try to understand, but I don't know. So yeah, I've always thought, yeah, it's nice to be like thick-skinned, and not, and like let it be like insults or whatever, or comments, water off a duck's back. It doesn't work that way. Another reason is because when people see a comment, they only see one comment. What I've seen is hundreds of comments, and they accumulate, they build one on top of the other, one on top of the other, and they stay in your mind. The negative comments stay in your mind, and there are real troll comments that you guys never get to see, because some I also put in a police file, because they're really really bad things. Like they're coming to get me, they're going to find my house. You guys don't know what people have said, and the kind of communication I get. And I'm a tiny YouTuber. Imagine those big YouTubers, what they get, the kind of crap that they get. So is it worth it, really? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. Yeah, so I just wanted to reply to one of my viewers or subscribers about being thick-skinned, and yeah, it'll be brilliant if I could be thick-skinned, so I'll try, by looking into cognitive behavioral therapy, maybe. I looked into that a long time ago, and I think, the less stress you have in your life, the easier it is. As I said, this cup isn't full, and so that's what I want to do. At the moment, my life is really stressful. As I said, I'm like a nomad. I'm moving from one place to another. I don't have my own room. So the situation at home is, every time I go home, I feel happy that I've got a family still, but it's just a question of time that the house is sold and then it's gone. I'm not allowed to be in a family setting with a wife, daughters, my son, the dogs, in a home. That's all going to be gone. So it's a bit weird, Well, anyway, yeah. So that's just to answer that kind of inquiry into. I don't know what this person's going to say. He's going to come up with some ideas on how I can best reply to these comments or trolls. So when is a troll comment not a troll comment and just a normal comment? Um, People talk about freedom of speech and they say, well, everything should be uh, like open for debate and everything should be allowed. We don't live in America. We don't have this way of thinking, and I think it's right that we don't have this way of thinking because, um, I used to think, why can't we talk about trans stuff? Why can't we talk about gay stuff? And I think it's true. You shouldn't cancel people, but there is a line that maybe you shouldn't pass. Not because there's a rule that tells you, but you have to have some kind of morals and values. People who are gay and people who are trans have a much higher suicide rate. So maybe you have to tread carefully with people. You know, people on the right wing. I'm not on the right or left anymore. I don't care. I don't care about any of them. We're all people, and um, we all have massive egos. So, as I said, I just want to go out of the dome. No left, no right. They're all fake anyway. Those left and the right are all fake. You know. Um, certain people, I'm not saying they should be protected, but have a higher incidence, a higher that they're more triggered because maybe they have mental health problems. You know, I know I can't say that because someone will say, "Are you saying gender dysphoria is a mental health problem?" Maybe, yeah. And I don't want anyone who's got a mental health problem to be attacked verbally and insulted, and they might actually go and do something, because their mind isn't a place where they can just, it's not like water off a duck's back, and they don't have thick skins. They're not mentally there, emotionally they're not there, and it could lead them to delete themselves. Another person would say, well, that's not freedom of speech. I should be able to say anything I want. But it's not as simple as that, because you're living in a dream world. Because as I said, the internet is anonymous, and so you can say anything you want. So if we had complete freedom of speech, you would say to some person online, you could, in theory, say to some person online, a black guy, saying, "I hate you, you black N-word. You're a fat pig," or "Look at you, you're trans," or even like Italian cunt. Or if you allow that, right? If you allow that, then for us European people, whatever, white people, people can say, "Oh, look how pale you are. You're going to be replaced soon. Your race is dying." Is that allowed? That shouldn't be allowed. So the negative stuff towards other groups shouldn't be allowed. It's all kind of bullying. It's not just, these aren't comments, they're actual insults, and you have to think of the vibe the person has towards you, or the person that it's sent to. It's made to insult you, and it's made to hurt you. So if somebody said to a black guy, "You black C-word," that's an insult. It's not it's not an opinion. Yeah, it is an opinion. Yeah, I think you're a black. But put it this way, as I think I did mention this. Like, if I think I have freedom of speech, okay, I go up to a person, a big black guy, and I say, "You are a black, um, bastard," or N-word. This is my opinion, right? So if we live in a world where we have freedom of speech, this is my opinion. But you would never do that, because that guy would just it would hammer your head, or it would beat you up, or that maybe even kill you. So you don't do it in the street. Why do you do it online? Because it's anonymous. It's anonymous, and you can get away with it. And this is where trolls are born. Because no troll would go up to a guy and say you whatever. It would be a terrible world if that was allowed. Oh, it's freedom of speech, right? No, but you don't have freedom to insult, because if that is allowed, like, demographic change, people can come, like Pakistani Muslim guys, maybe they're not real Muslim, but people from that area, go up to a white person and say, yeah, we don't like you, you white bastard, or whatever. My opinion, freedom of speech. It's not freedom of speech. That's an insult, you know. So there is a line that you cross. Freedom of speech is to say, this is freedom of speech. I think this is freedom of speech. The black community, in the black community, there's a demographic that creates a lot of the crime, 70% of the crime in the US, and it's about 4.5%. It is not, it's black men of a certain age. That's called freedom of speech. But if I say all blacks commit crime, first of all, it's incorrect. But it's just an opinion. But when I say you black N-word, your mother's a S-word, that's not freedom of speech. Those are insults. So there is a point, when this lady said to me, you are fake, and you people who believe you are sad. She put it in capitals, like shouting. Those are insults. It's not just an opinion. And you might say, well, how do you know? The person might have been saying that, in a really calm way. It might have been really relaxed, Well, she put it in block capitals. That's shouting. But let's say if it wasn't shouting, would that person come up to me or you or anybody else, come up to your face and say, you are a fake, and it's so unreal, and what did she say? Anybody who believes you is sad. Even if she said it with a smile on her face, like, she would have at least got, if she told it to another woman, she would have got slapped, or people would have thought you're bonkers, or at least the person would have replied and say, well, what are you talking about? But these people don't do that. They're like snipers. They shoot and then they run away. So, as I said before, it's like, as a child, maybe you're naughty, you play knockdown ginger, you knock on someone's door and run away because you know you did something bad. You're not going to stay there and say, sorry, I just like to knock on your door because of my freedom of movement or speech. The person who's going to... Yeah, so... I mean, in reality, people aren't nice. This is the kind of world we live in. Well, online, anyway. I think, as I said, people on the street are not going to say that. If they don't like it, they don't like it. They'll walk away. But yeah, so I think with ADHD, at least I am really, really sensitive, and that oversensitivity seems like a bad thing, and it is a bad thing, but it does have its positive side. The positive side, I can, even when it comes to fighting in martial arts, I can see a person, this starts to, before somebody punches you, you can see the body gives off, we use, for example, body language, like they say 70% of the language that we use is from the body. You have non-verbal cues, and I can see them a mile off. I see them, like the way a person looks, the way a person moves in ordinary life, like when I'm going to the supermarket. So when it comes to fighting, someone's going to, usually if they square off, then something's going to happen. If they start to basically, I can pick up tiny cues, and so being ultra sensitive is really good for self-defense or fighting. or been in a combat situation. Well, not maybe combat, because if you're at war, then you're going to fight. But in the street, rural conflict. It's not rural, sorry. Conflict in the not rural. Sorry, in the city, in the street. Because awareness is one of the most important things, and my awareness is really good because you're really sensitive. And so the first step is awareness. Some people might be so unaware that they walk down the street and they didn't see these guys like loitering on this side. They didn't see a person in the car who's looking around. I see it all, and so this is why I was saying I think it's an evolutionary trait that's been passed on to help the tribe, to help society. And these people couldn't do ordinary jobs because the brain doesn't work in an ordinary way. So anyway, enough of my rambling. Thanks for the comment anyway. It's an interesting comment. You're either going to send me the reply and say, oh, Gerald, I think this is what you should do, or you're going to send me a troll comment and say something nasty. But either way, it's all right. Hopefully it'll be a good comment. But who knows? You never know, you see. And yeah, I'd like to say, like, people who are who don't have their own channel don't understand how difficult it is to keep a channel running, to think about what to say, but then they don't see the amount of comments that you get, as I said, and it all stacks up one on top of the other, and so it's just like an ordinary person going out, and then like you might get the old person that says, oh, hello Gerald, how you doing? Oh, hello, and you feel really good. And then you get one person saying, hey, you bastard, or I hate you, and stuff like that. If that happened in the real world, you would also start to feel stress when all these guys giving you negative comments, they accumulate, and the good ones don't accumulate because they're not a threat. Whereas negative comments are a threat, are a threat to the group, are a threat to you. They're not a real threat, but the mind sees them as a threat because it's I don't know, the negative comments and the way that people are treating you negatively could be like a form of rejection or some other negative emotion, and it triggers off the idea of death inside us, and causes a lot of frustration, because if you were rejected from the group, from the tribe, it would mean certain death. So there are, I think, these factors at play as well. Well, anyway, speak to you guys another day. Bye.